Workbench and MySQL Command Line. So this is MySQL Workbench. Okay. So when you install it, you have a default database here. But this is, by the way, we won't be talking about this. We'll just go ahead and create our own database. So in order to create our own database, we'll be using, there are three ways, like I said earlier, there are three ways we'll be doing that. The first way is we'll be using MySQL queries. Okay, we'll be using MySQL commands here in MySQL Workbench, and then we'll be using MySQL commands as well in our command line, and we'll also be doing some settings here in order to create database. Okay, so first of all, the first thing we do is we write create database, and then we write the name of the database we want to create. You can call it EasyPrimeTech, and then we add this right here. So let's write this database correctly. All right, so we click on this sign right here to execute the code. Then this selected portion is either we select it or we just leave it and click on this sign right here. So now I've clicked on the sign and then I refresh. So as you can see here, the database has been created. So it's very easy to create a database. All right, so the database has been created and it's right here. So if you open it and click on this table, you realize that the table is not opening because there is nothing inside. There's nothing inside the table. So we have to create a column inside the table. So in order to create the column inside the table, all we have to do is we have to create a table first of all right, and then the column follows. All we have to do is we write create table, and then we can name our table. Okay, so since the name of the database is EasyPrimeTech, we can call the table EasyTech, for instance. EasyTech, right? And then we open this. And then the first thing we want to do here is to add an ID. Hold on, let me add a semicolon here. All right. So the first thing we are going to do is to add an ID. All right. So we add ID. So our ID, obviously, our ID is going to be a number. So because it's a number, we write int. Int stands for integer. Okay, we write integer and then we write primary key. The primary key will be auto increment. Now this means that if we are adding, after creating the column, if we are adding information in the database, it will automatically number itself like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, it will increase automatically. It will increase automatically. All right. So that is what it means. So we'll go ahead to add some details in this database. All right. In this database, yeah, the first thing we're going to add is we can add any information. Let's add the skill. So the skill will be a character. So we say varchar. So this varchar means variable character, meaning is a character. Okay, we add 100. We can add 100 or 50, depending on the number of character we are expecting. All right, so we add comma, and then we add the next one, which is we can add maybe something like grade. So grade, we are expecting a number, which makes it an integer. We write int. So int, we can say not null. Then we add age. For example, we can add student age. You know, I'm just adding random details to this thing. I'm just adding random details so we can just use it to see how this actually works. Okay. All right. So the age will be a number, and then we write int, which is an integer. We write not null. So this not null simply means that we don't want it to be empty. We want a value to be there. So we don't want it to be empty. Maybe when the user is filling it or when you are filling the data there, you must fill the age. Maybe when the student or someone is filling his details, they must fill their age. So that's what it means by not null. It shouldn't be empty. Okay, so we'll move to the next one, which is we can use something like class, which is varchar. Now this like class, we'll use it as a logic. Okay, it's meant to ask a question whether you like the class or not. Okay, so whether you like the class or not is supposed to be yes or no. So yes or no shouldn't be more than 3 characters, but we can just add like 5. So after that, we close it and add our semicolon. So right now, if I click on this button right here, it will show error. Okay, let me click on it. So if as you can see right here, it's showing us error. All right, so it's showing us error right here because we have 2 commands inside this place. We have this one and we have this one as well. So all we have to do is we highlight this one. Is it that we highlight this one or we delete this? So once we highlight this one and click on this this button right here, it will execute only the code that has been highlighted. Okay, hold on. Let me add use database. All right. So the table has been created. The table has been created. So if you click on this place right now, if you click on this table here, hold on, let me open this table. So if you click on this table here, you see the table that we just created, the column in the table. You see the ID, the skill, grade, age, and like class. All right, so it's very easy to create a database. Just like this now, we've created a database and we've added a column. We can go ahead and add details inside this place. We can go ahead and add maybe 20 or, fill in the details inside this place. But before we do that, I want us to go to the MySQL command line to create a database there too, to also learn how to create a database there. Then after that, we can now proceed with the next thing. So this is MySQL command line. Okay, so to create a database here is very simple. It's as easy as what we just did in the other place in our MySQL Workbench. So first of all, I have to put my password here. Hold on, all right. So in order to create a database, we can say create database. We can name our database anything. We can call it something like school DB, for instance. And then we click on enter. So as you can see, it says query okay, 1 row affected, meaning the query has been created. Okay, the database has been created. So let's go ahead and create a table inside this database. Let me open this thing well so we can see it well. So in order to create a table here, we just have to do create, hold on, create table, and then we name our table. Okay, the name of this database is school DB. But before then, okay, let's just go ahead. Before then, let's just check how many database we have in the SQL currently. All right, let's check the number of database we have. So we can say something like show databases. So here you can see we have EasyPrimeTech. It has information in it, and then we have school DB. So school DB has no information in it. That's why there is no information here. That is this one I just created here. And then we have this SYS, which is the default database that is in the MySQL Workbench. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a table. So we can say create table. And then we name our table. We can call the table school. All right, so we can proceed by saying we can now add the details in the table. Okay, you can say school ID. School ID is supposed to be an integer. Say not null. Okay. Then we say student's first name. First name is supposed to be a var char, which is a variable character. and then we say maybe like 50 or 100, depending on the number of variable we want to add. So we add comma. So the next one we have last name, which is also a variable character. Add 50, and then we add comma, and then we have maybe student name. Can say SND underscore age. Sorry, student age. Can add student age is an integer, so we add int, not null. And then we add a condition right here. We say something like check. So this condition right here checks if the student, that is the SND underscore age, if the student is greater than 18. So what this means is that if the student is not greater than 18, it will not accept this, whatever details we put in. So let's just go ahead. You understand it when we get there. Okay, so we close this thing, and then we click enter. So it says no database selected. Okay, so I think this is because we did not select the database. I already did this here to show the database. So after doing this, we already moved out from this one. So we have to select the database and then create the table. So let me go ahead and select the database first. So I think it's because we already did this here. That's why we moved out from this database. Okay, but if we had it been, we went straight and created the table here, we would have gotten everything we needed. So let me just select the database by saying use school DB. All right, so then we can now create the table. So close it. So now the table has been created. Yeah. All right, so to add details inside this table that we just created, or we can just view the table first of all by saying we can view the table by saying select hashtag from, and then the name of the table where we want to, the name of the table we want to view, which is school. It says empty because the table is empty. Okay, we have our column, but it's empty. We've not added anything here, so it says empty set. So let's go ahead and fill this table first. Let's go ahead and add maybe just one value to it. Okay, so in order to add one value, we use the keyword insert. We say insert into school. All right, so we go ahead and say school underscore ID, comma, then the next one is first name. Abby, we have our first name underscore, like first underscore name. Hold on, let me, first underscore name. And then we have the next one, which is last underscore name. We have the next one, which is SND underscore age.